Last year I had the opportunity to close out the conference in Columbia, Missouri. And I was quite humbled by being asked to do that, and to be honest with you, a bit intimidated. Just like this conference, there's been a tremendous amount of information and value and wealth that's been shared all 3 days. And to encapsulate that into a succinct and compact package to send you home with whatever it is that you identified in your why on the first day, I'll be honest with you, I'll do my best, but I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure that you even need me to say a whole lot based on everything that has happened over the last 3 days. You see, in one of the things I have the opportunity to do is travel quite a bit. Whether it's providing consulting services or teaching holistic management or just speaking at conferences and workshops like this, most of the time it comes with a very specific request. Okay, a certain time slot, a certain topic, prepare, and give the presentation, answer questions, and away we go. With this one here, they have entrusted me a little bit or I have a little bit of free will, if that didn't come across this morning, okay, to decide what I'm going to do. And unlike last year, where I think I took my half-hour time slot and made it like an hour, and I'm still apologizing to Gabe for that. But what I'm going to do this year is, I think I have like 4 slides. But I don't think I need any more than that. You see, when I try and establish some things in my mind that I learned from a particular educational event, one of the things that I used to do was I just took so many notes that the pages were just covered and covered and covered. And then in that binder or in that booklet, it got closed up and it got put on the shelf. And if I did get it off of the shelf, it had so much in it that then I found myself searching through it until eventually I decided, well, I'll just move on because there's another event coming up. And so what I've encouraged people to do whenever I teach courses or whenever I speak is that you kind of need one small sheet of paper that has your aha moments on it or your action steps. And of course the action steps or an action item is what I had you discuss at your tables this morning. Now I have a bit of a unique way of trying to identify what those things are that I want to remember from each of the presentations, each of the speakers. So from a bit of just a little bit of a lighthearted perspective, I was thinking about, as I was listening to some of our speakers, and of course, many of you are very entertaining, you're very good speakers, and you have a bit of humor to you as well, whether it was in the questions that you answered or simply participating this morning or in how you presented your passion in what you're doing on your place. I got to thinking, what if we took every one of your presentations and we made it a song? You guys are wondering where this odd guy from North Dakota really came from, aren't you?
You just want to dance again, don't you?
No. No, there's not going to be any more dancing. But if you made it into a song and, of course, treated yourselves all as artists, because isn't that kind of what you are with what you do? Don't get me wrong, there's definitely a science component to it, but you participate in an art. And honestly, when you guys talk about the estate planning, the science part of that is the actual estate planning, what's on paper. What you do in terms of the culture that you have to share and talk about, to me, that's the art side of things. Just like in grazing management, there's a science component and there's an art component. Just like in financial management, there's the science component on paper, but there's the psychological or artist part about the actual discussion. Long story short, I actually created a 2-disc album of what the last 2 days have entailed. Maybe you guys won't find this humorous at all, but I have a little bit of fun putting it through. So the Grassfed Exchange #1 hits, Raising Suspicions from 7 Sons. Nothing? Jeez, you're right, Gabe. It's kind of a done deal, isn't it? How about Bananas and Short Posts from John Nelson? Okay, now that first song, I don't know if that's a rap song or an R&B song or what. This looks like maybe more of an old country song. How about The Grass is Getting High by the Bartletts? You can ask him what form of getting high that's all about. All of the Nutty People. Okay, Nicolette Nyman. And of course this one, I Just Can't Lie to You, by Mike Lawrence. Hey, I told you there was 2 discs, right? All right, how about this one? One of my personal favorites, I'm So Excited. The remake from Luke Lindenberger. Luke, are you here? Hey, there he is inside the door. That was perfect timing. I didn't plan that. I created a song for you, by the way. Okay. It's a remake, you know. I mean, originally the Pointer Sisters, but you can take this as far as you want it. How about the original dancing guy, Mr. Roundtree? You were the inspiration for this morning, so I don't know if that means anything to you or not. But how about your breed is the right breed? Most of you probably remember what that was all about. How about love conversation with your farm? Remember the interconnectedness? I mean, all albums got to have a love song on it, right? Okay. And the last one, smoking grass and illegal Canadians. I might have to send that one. I'm kind of proud of that one. I might have to send that one to Mark. He was hilarious, I thought. So, but anyway, whenever I meet people, one of the things that I used to, well, I still struggle with this a bit, but I can meet you, I can shake your hand, and before you're done telling me your name, I might have forgotten it. Okay, anybody else suffer from the whole name? Remember anything? Okay. Well, there's different techniques that you can use to try and remember that. All right? And of course, I try to do better at that. So whatever unique way you have of trying to not only write things down, but to put them up here so that you not only think about it, but you establish some sort of conviction with it. It will make it stronger for you. Okay, it's a subconscious thing that can help you take better advantage and make more effective use of the information you do learn. Now, like I said, this is maybe a little bit lighthearted, but there really were some very, very valuable points that came out of all of this. You know, in listening to Blaine's presentation, there's one thing in one of the questions that he answered at the very end that I think was very, very important. Yes, he talked about making it convenient and being accessible in the 3 items, but what I really heard at the very end was that relationship goes beyond the label. We can really get tied up in what the label says, but isn't it about that relationship? Isn't it about having that trust factor? And that actually was a theme that was kind of held throughout, but I thought you set the stage really, really well when you talked about your business being beyond the label. You're more than just what your label says, and you want that to be true for your clientele as well. Making the change, John, you're talking about trying to do something in an area where that is not the norm. And if you want to talk about feeling on an island, which I've heard from different people over the years, I would guess that's probably something you feel from time to time, maybe more of the time than you would like. But to go strictly from this end of the spectrum, from a cash grain situation, and move it all the way over to this end, to be a grass-based operation in direct contact with your clients, I think is a really large leap of faith, but something that we need people like that to lead the charge. Being defensive is one thing, but going out and actually defending why you do something, I think is a bit different. Okay, but you need to know what that is in the first place. You need to ask yourself that question. That's why I had you try and visit with others at your table first morning or yesterday morning about why are you here, hoping that that opens the door to establishing why you do what you do. And how about this one here from Mike? He said, do what you say you will, but then expect the same thing. You know, as soon as he said that, I was like, well, okay, but that's a two-way, and I couldn't even get the words spit out in my head, and he was saying, but then expect the same, and that's what makes for relationships, mutually beneficial relationships. Okay? Second one here, will future generations thank me for my efforts? I thought that was pretty profound, Luke. I think that that's something that, we've just had this discussion of generational succession. Okay, I'm 35, my kids are 2 and 3, and it has already come up in our discussions about the transition opportunity for them. I'm not even moved to the farm yet. But the discussion has started because I want, as they grow, to build into a situation that if they desire to come back, which my parents didn't put any pressure on me, but they have asked. But I want the opportunity to be there to take on whatever challenges are there 15, 20 years from now, because they certainly will probably be different than they are now. Okay, each generation goes through their sets of challenges at that time, but how can we best be prepared for those? I think those discussions are important, and Luke, I think that you're designing your big vision picture of this whole deal is set up with so much flexibility and so much opportunity that no matter what curveballs get thrown that direction, you're going to have multiple answers to be able to take those challenges on. So I really appreciated that part of it. Jason, you gave the presentation. One of the things that gets beat up quite a bit is in certain groups is the universities. And based on what I see at the university here, there is hope for collaboration. There is hope for a team effort across the board. I really appreciate not only what you guys showed us on the day of the tour, but how that whole theme stretched through the particular conference. I guess in addition to yourself, I just really appreciate the team here in Michigan that's helped put this particular conference on and made it happen here. We held this in Bismarck a few years ago. It's not an easy deal. It comes with a lot of work, and not that I have any doubt that you guys were up for it, but I think you did a wonderful job, and I think it will be something that will carry people forward. A couple more. Needs to be a win-win. One thing that really caught my attention with your guys' presentation was talking about how it needs to be a win for each component in the system. And that if it's not, we need to question whether it's the right decision to do. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to be perfect, because it probably won't. But how many times do we look for a win for the one thing that's bothering us most at the time and don't necessarily consider the whole picture as far as all of the other pieces that are connected? So finding a win-win, whether you're talking about, from relationship standpoint in people, something along the Stephen Covey route, or whether you're talking about a win-win from an environmental standpoint, I think all of those go hand in hand. How about the manly celery and the feminine clover? When you start tying things together from where we sometimes separate our world and what we deal with from how nature is, and then you start bringing some pieces like this together and realize there is a whole lot of commonalities. It's just that we either don't look for them. As one of my mentors who's in the room, Mr. Ken Miller over here, talks about how we've lost our ability to observe and to observe closely, and just how many answers are there for us to be had if we just look, if we just listen, if we just use our senses in ways that we maybe haven't taken time to. And of course, the last one here from Mark, the dilution effect. Now, I think you could take this dilution effect and you could look at it across a variety of avenues. He, of course, talked about it with food, which tends to be a main focus of this particular conference. In particular, in his case, he talked about flavor. And whether you're talking about flavor, or you're talking about nutrient density, you're talking about soil health, or health amongst any of that particular complex, the soils, the plants, the animals, or humans, I think we need to engage our passion towards those things and keep pushing forward and not let things get diluted when we know that they can be better. And I think we all know that they can be. And I hope we're all excited about trying to make that particular difference as well. And just to close, there's going to be a pretty short turnaround to our next conference. But just like this one and just like the ones in the past, I have no doubt that it will be just as good, just as exciting. It's going to happen next April, actually the end of April, so a little bit different time of the year. It's going to happen in Perry, Georgia. The theme of that particular conference, Regenerating Lives One Farm at a Time. Believe it or not, this is the 8th annual Grassfed Exchange. You can see our list of speakers: Ray Archuleta, Gabe Brown, Teddy Gentry, Dr. Joseph Mercola, Dr. Fred Provenza, and many others. If any of those interest you, or even if you have other reasons that you want to come, There will be panels, there will be discussion, there will be interaction. I have no idea whether there will be a dance or song or any of those things. If you didn't like that, put it in the evaluation. I hope everyone filled it out. If you did like it, you want to participate, that would be good too. One thing I wanted to point out about that part is Warren, I didn't even ask you about recruiting you to participate in this. He is sitting in the furthest seat from the front. And he was up here jiving and jigging like anybody else. Thank you for coming to Michigan. Thank you to the Michigan team for putting this together. Thank you to our sponsors, the board, the wonderful and amazing board that I get to work with. Thank you to Kathy for all of the work that she's done, the facility, and most of all, thank you to all of you for coming, and thank you for sticking with us through the end. We put together an agenda that we think has value all the way through, and for you guys to stick around and participate to the very end, very much appreciated. Thank you, and safe travels home.